Let's make a sheetload of cards using the August 2023 Sheetload of Cards sketch from Call Me Crafty Al. Hey guys, it's Beth. Welcome. It is time for the August 2023 Sheetload of Cards from Call Me Crafty Al. This is a sketch and cut and supply list she puts together each month. And there is a collaboration team that shares some inspiration each month as well. There's a hashtag up in the title as well as down in the description box that you can click on to see all of the collaboration videos for this month. You can also use the same hashtag over on Instagram. If for some reason the hashtag isn't working for you, there's also a playlist down in the description box below as well that you can use. But this month it is a special edition no scraps sheet load, which is always exciting to me. And it makes 8 cards. And it has like this diagonal strip that goes across. And so I had pulled out some fall collections to work on using during the month of August. And when I got to looking at this sketch, I realized that I had pulled out this fall break from Carta Bella. And it has these strip scenes in them. So they're a little bit wider than what the sketch calls for, but I think I am going to try to make these work because I thought that would just be a perfect way to showcase them. And I would probably use them as strips on a card anyway. So I thought I will just somehow tweak these to make these work with the cards. So I love this collection. It's luscious and beautiful, and I am excited to get to use it. I ended up cutting my strips down to 2.5 inches wide. That was about as thin as I could go without really losing the integrity of the seams. And it worked out that there was like a border of color and then some like a strip of words, and so it worked out that if I just pretty much trimmed off the words and the colored border, and I only had to take a little bit off of each strip, other than I think the bottom one was a little bit wider, to make them work for 2.5 inches. So then I did make my brown cardstock matte piece 2 3/4 inches. So I did vary from the sketch on that one as well. Otherwise, I cut all my other pieces down as close as I could according to Call Me Crafty Al's cut guide. I did, because I had 2 sheets of the scenic strips, that was going to give me 16 cards. So I did have to bring in some additional pattern paper to finish making the card mats that I needed for the 16 cards. But I was just so excited to be able to make these work. I just thought those scenes were beautiful. I love this collection, and I'm so happy it worked out that Alicia's sketch totally fit into this. So if you would like to find out more about Call Me Crafty Al's sheetload sketches, how to obtain them this month, going forward, how you might be able to access an archived list of the sketches, you can access the link in the description box below for her channel. That will take you to a video that will give you much more information. These sheet loads are so fun to use each month. They're a quick way to make some gorgeous cards. Now I'm going ahead and adding the strips onto the card. They are going to overlap, and so I'm adding some extra ATG adhesive on either end just because I'm not exactly sure where it's going to hit on the card. You'll see here in a second. I'm just applying it to the mats first instead of applying the mats to the card, since I know I'm going to have to do some trimming here. And if you know me, you know I like to work in batches where I will apply adhesive to as many as I can, as many as I physically have room for to store kind of on my desktop here. I will add adhesive to multiple pieces at a time and then come and adhere them down. It's just my way of doing the assembly line process. So There are times where I'm shifting the scenes a little bit to the left or the right, depending on what I want to make sure doesn't get cut off. And we'll get these last few adhered on to the card mats. And then I will start trimming off the ends. I'm going to show you one and then we'll do the rest of this off camera. My mats with the strips are all trimmed up, and now I'm adding my sentiment. Because my scene strips were wider than the sketch called for, I didn't have as much room at the bottom for my sentiment, and unfortunately the sentiment that I chose to use was a little bit wider than the sentiment strip on the sketch. So I ended up having to pull up the bottom edge of my scenic strip there and then tucking in my sentiment just so it kind of overlapped there just a little bit. That gave me room to, I didn't want to overlap the scene, I just wanted to kind of tuck it in a little bit. So I do end up pulling up the pattern paper and adhering my sentiment strip in there, and then I kind of re-glue add a little bit more glue back onto the strip or the pattern paper so that it stays down. It worked better than others. It worked better in some cases than others. Some you see me struggling to even get it pulled up. Some you see me struggle trying to get it to stay down. So probably not the best way to go about doing this, but I didn't think about it until after I had all of the pieces down. But this is just a fall greetings stamp that came in a stamp set from Scrapping for Less many years ago in one of the Flavors of the Month kits. And I just used some brown ink to coordinate with the brown cardstock that I'm using. And I did do cream cardstock bases. I was originally going to do craft cardstock, but I didn't have any, so I went with cream. All of my sentiments are now down, and I'm going to just adhere the card mats to the cards. This is the simplest part and kind of where you see it all come together. For some reason, just adding that border of white essentially, or in this case it's the cream, just kind of helps finish off. Even though everything else was already put together, it just makes it look complete. So this is always my favorite part, just kind of seeing the whole card come together. I think the truck, there's a couple different truck scenes that I think are my favorites, and then the churches are my next favorites. Just some beautiful fall scenes. I've probably said that 50 million times in this video, but I absolutely love this luscious collection. I'm going to put my last few card mats on my bases here, and then the card sketch does also provide cut guides for pieces that go on the inside. That's what makes this card like a true, or what makes the sketch a true no scrap sketch. There are these little pieces that are left over, and she does have you cut them at angles to layer them on the inside. So I went ahead and did the rest of those off camera. And then here are the 16 cards that I made. Like I said, I had 2 sheets, so there are 2 of each scene. They may just have different patterned mats to go behind them, but the scenes themselves are the same. So again, please be sure to check out the hashtags, the links, and see what everyone else made. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you all have a very crafty day.